but is always there, ever present. Without the spirit, the elements dissipate and they cannot stay together. It is the spirit that brings life, that brings everything together. So we welcome the spirits of the elements in our body, in our world. And may our spirit find the home that this physical reality has created for us. Knowing that we are life. Knowing that we are life.
Aho!
Aho, aho.
Today the guest of Medicine Woman, Medicine Man is FOTOULA, and she will gonna introduce herself. Who are you, beautiful soul? But you know, I remember when I met you first time when I came for your session, and it was something totally different, like really deeply touched my heart. When I came, it was like this welcoming. And I still remember your voice, like welcome, welcome, welcome. And then all the session was like singing and drumming through the. I never have session in that way. I experienced a lot of session, but this was something different. And I was like, its energy was like so present and was really moved my heart. And when you're singing now, and you know this beautiful welcoming and opening also moved our heart. So gratitude for helping us to move our heart, because that connection with the heart is so important. So blessings and gratitude.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I found my connection into my body, into this life, and into my heart through the shamanic way. And when I found shamanism, it was like a passion. I just like a thirst, like I really know this path. It makes so much sense to me. I don't need proof. I don't need anything. I just know it's in my bones. I know my heart is the drum inside my body. And one of my teachers said this saying that he said is like the drum called you and put stars in your eyes, because when you feel that magic, that drum, that energy, it's like your eyes shine like stars. The soul becomes alive within us again, and it's that aliveness that touches me. That's why I do the shamanic work, Isabella. That's why that's why I do it. So to introduce myself, what can I say? So I'm originally from Greece, and I've now lived in Scotland more years than I've lived in Greece, which is amazing because I've never had any intention to come to Scotland. And when I arrived in Scotland, I lived a conventional life. You know, I was married at the time. I was sort of working as a town planner, bricks and mortar, nothing really spiritual, although there was some spirituality in it, because I care so much about the environment and creating places. My job was to create places for people, so I was working in regeneration, creating beautiful environments for people, with other practitioners, of course. And then when I was 30, I had this spiritual awakening, and eventually at the age of 32, I stepped onto the shamanic path by accident. There's no accidents, of course. And then when I stepped onto the path, I just thought, this is it. And I just couldn't get enough of it, because the spirits were with me all the time, starting to speaking to me before I tried to meditate. Just like this meditation practice that I had, stop thinking, don't have any thoughts. Well, I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't stop my mind thinking, trying there to keep a quiet mind. And then what happens is I step into shamanism and everything opens up. And I found this silence in the, as I said, in the song of the river, in the song of the earth. And everything became so much more quiet and then so much more alive at the same time. And I really understood what we say about not being human doings, but human beings, because there's so much life around us. And we always think I have to do something, but life around us is also so still. And that's why there is so much movement. Is that movement of the growth of the trees, of the blossoming of the flowers, the movement within the ice of the snow, and then the movement within us. But also the stillness of the conditioning and the programming was great for me. So I trained, did my shamanic practitioner training. I trained with Sandra Ingerman in the States, with indigenous people, with people like Paula, other shamans, Native American shamans, Himalayan shamans. I just went on pilgrimage, to different places in Tibet and all these places. But one thing that I had a yearning for was my own tradition and what I remembered from my family, because the more I looked into shamanism, the more I discovered this this is not just belonging to one tribe, but it's really something universal that we can all tap into, as long as we do it with respect, with an open heart. We go and do our training, we do it properly. So I went back to find my roots, and that was not an easy journey, because in my tradition in Greece, where my father, and he learned the art from his grandfather. So my great grandfather said that it's unlucky for women to practice shamanism. So that was the response from the family. That was the response from the elders, that no, you cannot do it, because we are not going to share the knowledge with you, because women should not do it. And I prayed for 2 years. I did ceremonies. I spoke to the Greek spirits who were with me since the beginning, since the first spiritual inkling that I had. These ancient spirits, especially the goddess Hecate or Hecate, was just like my mouth spoke her prayer. I have not had any inkling to invoke her. I didn't even know much about her. Just my mouth spoke her prayer, then I found out that her prayer is written in our accounts, and it is very, very similar what I said to what is said there. So this underworld goddess is like an earth goddess spirit, that I prayed to her and said, can you help me, because this door is closed, just because I'm a woman. And in my family, there were I have no brothers, there were no boys at the time. Now I have a nephew, but at the time there was no male descendants who could carry out the art. And my dad's family was the same, because his mother was an only child. So his grandfather bypassed my granny, his mother, and had to wait until my dad was born to teach him, to share with him all these different practices. And he was old at the time, and my dad was not interested, because he's a scientist. He's an engineer. He doesn't get it as much. He remembers, and he does some of the practices to do with reading of the bones and other things that for the family. But a lot of the wisdom was lost. And I said, please, can you share this with me so it doesn't get lost? And he decided after 2 years to share this with me. And that really brings something together. But I keep learning from different wise teachers and different traditions, but always find out that there there is a common heritage because there are so many similarities. Of course, the spirits change. So, you know, I have a Kati as my helping spirit at the time. It was the first one who came from my Greek tradition. And here in Scotland, we have the Kaliach Pira. But the Kaliach said to me, I am the same. I'm a Kati in your land, but I'm called the Kaliach here in Scotland. I am the crone here, and this is the name of the crone. So you in Greece, so we have similarities, and I love to see the similarities. I focus on that and not the differences, because I think somehow I feel from studying the different traditions, and of course I don't know everything, it's just what I have learned, which is a minuscule part of the whole, that there are so many things that are the same, so many concepts that are the same. So, you know, we talk about soul retrieval and the upper worlds and the underworlds or the lower worlds, and we have that in my tradition as well. And then we have spirits that are guardians of each of these worlds. And when you connect with them, you really open up yourself to connect with the worlds within you, and then your practice really starts to become much more powerful and much more connected. So, and then you find that in other traditions it's the same. And so yeah, I love shamanism because I think it's a human heritage, but we have to do it well. We have to do it well because there are so many people now stepping on the path and saying, yeah, I was born a shaman. You might have been, and I'm so glad you are, but please go and train so you can really help people. You cannot help your community and people without training, and also keep your heart open, because other thing that happens is, you know, in the traditional apprenticeships, what you do is the teachers work you really hard. It's not easy to really shed your ego.
Yes. This is the process.
Yes, it's a process.
It can be painful sometimes if we have strong big ego. Sometimes we don't know even that we have it.
Yes.
But there are the teaching, right?
Yeah. So there's the shedding of the ego, and it's not easy. And people sometimes write to me and saying, you know, FOTOULA, I've been studying with these shamans, these indigenous shamans, but they really make me feel so small, and it's so hard, and I have to keep making the decision every time I'm going to the course, but I just feel not acknowledged and stuff. But all this not acknowledged, that I feel small, etc., that is, you know, a mirror that the teacher is holding for you. And the indigenous ways can be a little bit harsh. I cannot do that. I'm not that person. So, but I see that in the West, the ego can treat people. So they start really well. They are very gifted, and they step onto the path. But the ego comes, and then they lose everything. And then there is actually damage that can be done, because in shamanism we have to be a hollow bone, we have to be a pure channel as much as we can, so that the spirit can come through us. If our ego is there, how can the spirit come? There is no space.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you said that, because it's very important. I feel like the Sphinx is changing around the world, because it's now becoming a fashion, right? It's kind of like, and people get fascinated, and very often we forget about our own heritage, like abandoning our roots as well. Like it's part of the deep healing to remember who we are, where we are coming from, and this work with the land as well, collecting the memories from the land, and like the goddess of the earth. It's like she's supporting us, and I feel very often forgetting about that connection with the earth and with the elements, because I feel like without elements, I feel like nothing. Like, you know, because I can see like the blood, what the blood represents. It's like the river. When the river is not flowing in our body, in the water, the things are getting stuck very often, right?
Yeah.
So it's like often like the fire, too much fire, it can bring a lot of anger or like this passion that cannot be even controlled. It's like so it's like, and through the, so my love, what is like shamanic way, and how do you help us to understand what is the shamanic way to approach to life? Because now it's, I feel like some ceremonies and rituals are very complex and very challenging, but I also learning is a lesson how to keep life simple and how we can actually adjust to the present moment, right? To just being. So what is like simplicity of shamanic way? Is there a simply, it can be simple way of
So yes, this is a really good question, because people who practice indigenous shamanism, they find the ceremonies are really, you know, complex. So it takes to do a ceremony well. Sometimes these ceremonies last days. So you start with a day of preparation. You then have maybe the ceremony can last sometimes 4 days, and then you have, you know, the picking up the steps, and these are very, very strong ceremonies. So they might feel complex. So some of the indigenous ceremonies might feel really complex, but it's like we have to do the work. The more work you do, the more you will get the rewards. And these ceremonies also have been done that way for thousands of years. So you are stepping into something that has been proven to work for thousands of years. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here now. So that is one thing I would say. I have been very lucky because I have taken part in some of these complex ceremonies, and one of the ceremonies that I have done is a Mayan ceremony called the moon dance. So people may know the sun dance and maybe not know so much about the moon dance. So the moon dance I met through a Mayan shamaness, a woman called Isabel Varga. And some people from Europe, from Germany, a woman called Eva Mack went to the Mayan people in Mexico, and she danced 4 times with them. And then Isabel came, they invited her to come to Germany and create a circle of the ceremony. And what happens in this ceremony is that the men and women come together. The men drum and sing and hold the circle, and the women rattle and dance the dance of the snake, the dance of the serpent. And they weave the energy is through the earth, through the movement, through their feet, through the moon. They bring that energy, the feminine energy, this very powerful energy, and then that energy flows to the earth, flows to the men that hold the space. So it enriches the men, and the men bring the strength and the protection and the masculine energy, and the feminine and the masculine come into balance through service, service to the earth, service to all beings. And it's an amazing ceremony. I have danced now, I think 9 years, if I'm correct, and every time it's a very strong ceremony. But to do this kind of ceremony, you have a lot of dedication, and it's something that the indigenous people still do, and it's not been easy for them either, because there are people who are trying to stop the ceremonies happening, and all of that going on, but they're still dancing. They had the vision to entrust us, the white sisters and brothers, with the ceremony as well, so we can take part and we can do it. But what you feel after these big ceremonies, you feel like, oh, I'm a different person. I have really received the healing. I have really done the work. So this is like some of these complex ceremonies, but there are also small ceremonies that we need to do sort of like as part of our everyday life, because these ceremonies the complex ones we can only do once a year, and they're necessary as well. But then we have to, like, we go away, and then the world out there will just go and grab us back into the conditioning back into the doubt, back into the fear, back into, oh goodness, what is happening out there, and out of our center. So we need this connection to be our everyday way of life. So I would say is to make our life a ceremony. That is the aim, that is the connection. So I have been very lucky because, and I really am very grateful. It's not without sacrifice, because people say, oh, you live, this is great, you're living a ceremonial life, you're living a life where you can do this, but it's not been without hard choices. So so I made those choices, not that I had an option, because the spirits were like, this is what you need to do. I felt it in my heart, this is what I need to do. So yes, I gave up my job, I gave up my house, I gave up lots of things, but I have no regrets so far, because my life transformed, and I transformed, and I went with that flow, and that is not easy. And I so respect people, because the people step into the path, and after a while they feel this well, my way of life and my way of being are not aligning anymore. And it took a while for me. I did it in stages. You know, one thing led to another. I didn't just jump. I just did it in stages, where I took my mind with me. Okay, I am afraid to take that step, but okay, what do I do? I keep meeting that edge, and then I slowly came into that river of life, and allowed and surrendered to that flow. And as I said, I have met hard edges, and everybody does, but we just keep going and keep having faith and walking our path. And to do that, we need to dive into that light. So I have a spiritual practice, and the spiritual practice is that if we are working with spirit, is not to say, okay, today I have a client, I'm doing spiritual healing, I'm doing shamanic healing, I will open my sacred space then, and I will welcome my guides, or I will sing to the earth then, and all the other days I'm stuck in front of the TV or the computer, or I'm gossiping, or I'm doing all this. So I think it's something like we have to do in every day, to have a spiritual practice. So shamanism is really helps us elevate our consciousness, and the way is like the drum. So with the drum is spirited. So those of you who are looking for a shamanic way, so many people now are attracted. I need a drum, I want to get the drum, they don't know why. But it's how actually to work with the drum. There are some really beautiful ceremonies, indigenous ceremonies from my tradition and other traditions that I met, that tell us what is in the drum. There is a spirit in the drum. So you can, there are teachings there, how we cleanse the drum, how we wake up the drum, and how we then connect with the spirit that is there, how we bring it forward, how we do healing with the drum. What is that vibration that creates the healing, how that goes into the body, and how we work with the drum and the fire. So there are beautiful, beautiful teachings that can just be 5 minutes. In the morning, I say good morning to my drum. I smudge my drum. I put some water. I cleanse myself. I cleanse my space. So everything that had happened during the night is washed away. It's not just having a shower, cleansing our body, having a shower, but having an energetic shower as well. I connect with my guides. I light my candle, and I have my intention for the day for all beings. It's like everything I do, we say share the merits, because it is like this, Isabella, it's like we do these ceremonies, or these prayers, or this drumming, or this rattling and calling the spirits, but I feel there are so many people who cannot do this. Maybe because they live in a place it's not allowed, or they never learn to, or they cannot, they are so busy in their mind, this is not their way. But I feel that I can do it, and we're all connected, we're all one. So I dedicate the merits always, whatever we do, to all beings, because we are all one. And one of the Mayan sayings that I've learned in the moon dance is called O Mateo. It means all is one, all is one. And so if we do any spiritual work and we dedicate, then we share the merits. That light that we brought multiplies. Because sometimes people say, well, if I dedicate, if I give it to somebody else, what remains there for me? But actually it just grows, it multiplies, so many times. I know I speak a lot. I can speak for
No, please. It's very like you hypnotizing because it's like so rich and so on top of it. Yeah, FOTOULA, because it's very important to speak about all of the things, right? Because like it's good, because the more deep we going, the more things are appearing even for us. Because it's not easy path as well, like in shamanic way, shamanic path, it's like there's a lot of confusion as well, because when between mind and heart, and how to understand the vision and how to bring them to life and how to stay alive. Because like I heard like your another, it was sharing that you did recently, and you spoke about nomadic way, and that it's the calling to be a nomad, to not to be afraid, because many of us, I do feel sometimes I'm not really alive on aligned with my path, and there's like because I'm something holding back, because maybe I fell so many times, maybe maybe I'm not feel like something is stuck, not moving forward, and it's like still like the spirit is calling back, and to stay brave and to stay aligned. And I think this takes a lot of courage, and it's like to trust, even it's messy, because sometimes if you feel like, oh, the life is messy, I'm doing something wrong, or things are falling apart. Very often through that healing work, things are really, it's like big disaster sometimes, explosion, right? Because we move so many things, and very often not only from this lifetime, it's like many lifetimes. So I feel like to understand what does it mean actually, and work from the heart, it takes a lot of courage, and a lot of teachings, and a lot of listening and tuning in, because when you are not tuned in with the energy, also might cause like disturb. Right? Could you speak more about it, like how to stay aligned with our purpose, and how to really.
So one of the things that is really important is like, and I have experienced this. So I'm talking from experience. It's not just like, as I said, people sometimes see the finished article saying, well, your life is fine, but there are so many times that I was just like really had to trust, and so many difficulties. It's not an easy path, but we just keep walking it. And the important is to keep walking, because in the Western mind there is an expectation, and they say, oh, you have all these spirits, they sort out your life. And no, they don't sort out your life, because your life is yours to live. You have come here to be a human being, and you have your path to also learn from life. So you learn from the spirits, you learn from the spiritual practice, but life is also a teacher. And there are some teachings that no matter how much we want to avoid in spiritual practice, do things and mantras and everything, that some of these teachings we have to learn from life. And what is important there is to keep walking, and it's not easy.
Even to focus on keep walking and breathing, as simple as that, right?
Yes. Keep walking, keep breathing, keep doing your practice, keep surrendering, and knowing that, in Greece we say, if a door closes, another one opens. And it doesn't mean that it will open straight away, but you are on the road. You are on the road. You keep doing your practice. You surrender, and you surrender the ego, not your power. Your power is with you, but you surrender the ego. And what you do really is, one of my teachers from the Sun Bear tradition, Sun Bear used to say, Sam Bear used to say that if things don't happen and you know you're in the right path, keep praying and keep praying harder, keep staying in your path, because there is the expectations of the mind that is one of the biggest blocks.
And how we can pray, because like each tradition have different way of praying. It can be, and we can create our own prayers, or we create our own chant, right? It's not about religion, it's not about, it's just like connecting more to the heart.
It's connecting more to the heart. So the first thing, is like what you want to do is separate the part of you that is the mind and the ego and the fear with what comes from the heart. So the first thing you can do is have a practice where you wash away the energies of the world, and then what you find is that actually what I wanted to say in my prayer, what is coming out of my mouth, is not what I was thinking before. And sometimes when you speak your prayer, you speak the solution out of what you were praying for. So many times this can happen in shamanic ways. So what you do is, if you have a smudging way, so you can work with purification chants or purification herbs. So you use the sage, you smudge yourself, you smudge your space, you smudge your drum, you smudge your altar if you have an altar. If you don't have, that's okay, you just smudge. And then you take some water, you sprinkle water on yourself, water on your place, with the intention that I am cleansing whatever is not me, whatever is the energies of the world. I'm cleansing that. So, and you can speak to that spirit, because everything is a spirit. So it's not like a mechanical thing that, okay, I've done that tick, I've done this other thing tick. You engage with the spirit of everything. So if I light the sage, I ask and I say, Spirit of Sage, plant sister, welcome into my space. I call your purification power. Please cleanse me from anything that belongs to the world. Please take away all the energies that belong to the world. May I be a pure channel. May only that is mine stay here. And then you do that for your place. And there are many energies around us. We live in a psychic soup. All these fears may not be your fears, maybe the fears of your family. When I stepped into the path and I said to my family, I'm giving up my job to practice shamanism, there were members of my family that said, we won't speak to you again if you do this. I said, why? Because they said, well, what will we say to people that you do? Now we can say you're a town planner from the Sorbonne, etc. What will we say? And I said, I don't care what you will say to people. This is not my fear. And then, this is a main fear for people. Just like, how will other people see me if I say I'm a shamanic practitioner? What will be their reaction? And that can play in our mind as
especially
well.
in past, because now it's become like everyone wants to be a shaman,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Feels that
yeah.
way, but in past, and also condition is a women as well. I feel like women have different path as a shaman's healer. They often was hiding, there always was like there is like history, right, about witches and all of the medicine woman as well. So I feel like for women, it wasn't that easy as for men. I don't want to generate, but it feels that way, right? They was very brave, and to step into that path and to break, these rules, like you are a woman, you staying in the house, you give up career and everything, and we need that power to step in as well.
Yeah. Like in my from my father's side, there is like if a woman does this, it's unlucky. So we don't teach this to women. But I had great aunts from my mother's side who were great with, they had their own things, their own way of doing extraction. The women learned, the women underground did this. But it was really interesting that the men will never go to a woman if they needed help, shamanic work or ritual. They would never go to the woman because they considered that's women's stuff, that's not as good as the men's stuff is so much better. That was the conditioning, and that's so restrictive, so restrictive. So the women kept it to themselves. They were clever, saying, okay, that you don't want that, we do it, we don't tell you anything, we just do it ourselves, but we keep doing it. And the men, sometimes I saw that they were making fun of women. Oh yeah, they were just like in a derogatory way, and you think, what is that about? So you can see how the women, as you say, they have there is a barrier there to overcome, and that comes from the world. So when you do the cleansing, you are cleansing yourself from all this stuff from the world, and then you start to take your drum or your rattle or play some music or find a quiet space and call in your helping spirits. And your helping spirits, here is important to say, is that the way I work, and it's not everybody's way, but the way I like to work is that I work with people with beings who come with unconditional love. Because sometimes people ask, how do we know, is this a good spirit to work with? Is this spirit,
Yes.
will the spirit tell us the truth? What if is the spirit, a good guide? And I say, how does it feel? Because this, when my helping spirit came first, I felt so much strength and power, but I also felt so much love, and there is never any judgment. The spirits will show me my ego, but without any judgment. They will say, look, FOTOULA, what you did here was not so hot. You don't get away with it. It's just like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I will try better next time. That you're right, I see it now. But the spirits, they don't have any judgment, nor do they want anything from you. So if tomorrow I say to my guides, look, I can't do it anymore, I'm really sorry, I tried, but I'm giving up, and they will say, we're sorry for that, but there is no comeback, like we're going to punish you, you're going to get a bad reaction from us, because it's unconditional. Unconditional means that, we give you everything out of love and without any expectations from you. And the same thing I have to have as well, that I receive all this knowledge and I work, but without saying to the spirits, well, if you want me to do this work, you must give me the lottery number, or it's unconditional that way as well. Because these are blocks that people put, they make conditions. They are trying to blackmail sometimes their helping spirits.
Yes.
And they say to the spirits, I want to do this pilgrimage, or I want to do this work, but can you please, bring me the money to do this? And the spirits sometimes do. They say, yeah, there is a way, here you can go and do this. And they offer, and then the people, I've seen this, that's why I'm sharing this, I've seen this a lot of times, and the people say, oh, I need to go for a holiday, I haven't been to, with my family, and etc. And then what have you done? What have you done? So I think that this unconditional relationship and respect, and knowing what how to work with spirit is also part of the knowledge that doesn't exist so much in the West. But in Greece we have it, because we have a great respect for these spirits that comes almost like from the start. From the start we learn how to work with spirit. And we have a word is called hubris. Means that if you do not do the work in a respectful way, that means you are trying to manipulate the energies, you are not truthful, you are not speaking the truth, you are misusing the teachings, you are stealing the teachings, you are doing things that should not happen, or sending bad energy to people, you are not honoring your sacred space, etc. Then what happens then, there is like you're bringing, almost like I could say, negative karma is maybe a way to yourself and to your life, and that is why it is dangerous. So we have to have a very pure intention. This should be practiced with a pure intention. That is my feeling. Yeah.
And my love, like if you could, because I know it maybe sounds very silly, but what is spirits? How we can? It's like it's just from basic.
So basically, what are the spirits we work with in shamanism? So again, this is my way. Other people, other shamans may work differently. So generally, very very generally speaking, we have a few categories of spirits we invoke. So we start with ancestors are a huge big force in shamanism. We work with the ancestors, and the ancestors were transcended. So sometimes people say, okay, my ancestors did all these bad things, I don't feel good working with my ancestors. But when the ancestors go to the other side and they become again pure spirit, then they come back to us because they haven't resolved maybe what they resolved in their life. So we inherited that family issues, that family karma, if you like. So they want to support us. They say somebody is there doing work for our family that we couldn't do. So we support that person. So there's a huge strength. And also what happens is the ancestors may have had lots of trauma, wars and things, difficult things, and may have been difficult people. But what we see, from that point of view is like we see the trauma on the ancestors. But behind the trauma, there is also a lot of strength in that lineage. Each lineage has a gift, contributing something to this earth. So what is the gift of our lineage? So we focus on the positive, if you like, and also there might be, and if we go back in time, I'm sure there are in everybody's country and lineage, there will be some shaman, might be many generations back, that there was somebody there who was maybe doing shamanic work. So we invite the ancestors who also did this kind of work to help us now. And these are some of the spirits. And then we have the transcended, helping, compassionate spirits who work for the highest good, unconditional love. So these are beings of light. They can be, in many traditions they call them deities. So in Himalayan tradition that I've been studying with Paula, there's Shiva, there's Kali, there's different deities, Lakshmi, different deities that are the working with the shaman to do the healing and the shamanic work. And in my tradition, we have other deities from my land. Here in this land, there are deities too. And there's also the power animals, and the power animals can be linked to a deity. For example, one of the people that is studying with me said to me recently, I'm working with the goddess Athena, Athena in Greek. So she is coming to them. They have not invited her, she came to them. It doesn't matter that this person is not Greek, because the spirits just see the heart. And I'm still to find a spirit that says, if you don't have the right nationality, the right color, the right gender, or whatever you like, that I will not work with you. I'm still to see that in a spirit. The enlightened spirits really look at your heart. So I think Athena, she has a power animal that is the owl. So sometimes, the people will work with a power animal that is linked to a deity or a power animal in general. So we also invoke these beings. And then you have also spirits of the plants, like the sage, like the juniper, the cedar. All these are powerful spirits. The spirits of the animals we talked about, the spirits of stones and crystals. Everything is alive. So there is life in everything, and sometimes you get an answer from a crystal or from a stone that you hold, because in shamanism we say that these stones have been here for so long, so much longer than us. They have seen so many changes in our world. We think, oh, this is happening, that's terrible, or that's good. It's just like we see it for the first time. But the stones have seen it happening again and again, because humanity has this habit of going around in circles. And so the stones, the grandmothers, grandfathers, they can share so much, and they can give us also answers, and they can be part of our work. And then you have the spirits, the nature spirits. And here we have to be careful, because some of them are quite mischievous. But the nature spirits and the spirit of the land where we live, we really have to honor and respect the land and the spirits living there. We think there is no, that we are alone in this space, in this room. But actually there are so many spirits here. There are so many spirits. I have a house plant here, and sometimes when I do healing and something is said that is so true, the house plant moves by itself. And people are seeing this, and they're seeing the leaves of the plant moving. And I said, oh, of course all the windows are shut. So how can it be? It's just because this is a powerful spirit who is working in, and has been part in all the ceremonies that I do. So I see them as flatmates and allies as well. And people have allies that are trees and plants and flowers. And my surname, ADRIMI, means of the oak tree. So I also feel this, this, in the old days, people did speak to the trees, and they had allies that are from Mother Earth. And the spirits of the land are responsible for the health of the house. So people sometimes they say, oh, my house feels ill, or there is a heavy energy. And this is when we have to engage with the spirits of the land and saying, why is this heavy energy in here? What does this place need? Maybe we need to honor them, make some offerings to the land, and say, okay, maybe other people lived here who did things that were not right, that created maybe disasters, or did the wrong thing, did not respect the land. But I am here to restore that relationship, and I apologize for the humankind and what happened before, but I'm new here. What can I do to create a good relationship with the place where I live? And that's a really good question to ask the land, to put our hands on the earth where we live, and say, Mother Earth, I want to live here in harmony with you and all these spirits here, and all the plants and everything here, in harmony with all life. What do you need me to do? And sometimes it's a very practical thing, a very practical thing. So I asked this question, and I also said to the spirits, now, I'm not very, if you ask me to pick up all the rubbish on the street, I'm very busy. Don't expect me to do that very often. If I go out and see it, I'll pick it up. But you know how much time I have, or what is practical, what is easy to do. So they said to me, we will do this with you. We want you to offer us the water from your ceremonies. So when I do a ceremony, I have some water, and after that I go and give it to the back court, to the trees there, and that keeps the light in the place. So they might say the same to you, they might say something different, they might say, this is what is causing the problem. But it means that when you do this, you have a better flow of energy in your house. So your house is protected, so you don't have accidents in your house, nothing, your house is protected also from burglars, from different things. So you have a good atmosphere in your house, health in your house, and health in your life.
And it can be like spirits that might cause some troubles, or like evil or bad, like is there any like this generation, like divided, like good and bad, and what like humans. Like I believe that there are bad humans. I believe that there are very people that been harmed and very they suffer. We just suffer and we transform that grief, that pain into something that is maybe negative in my understanding, without judging.
Yeah.
So how is like with the spirits, like?
So that's true. So basically, as there are people in our lives that we don't want to invite in our home, we don't want to invite in our lives, we just don't want them, don't want to be in their company. We have to be it's the same with the spirit world. So there are some spirits, and quite a lot of them. There are, for example, people who have died that are not at peace, so they are bringing that very angry or sad energy or addictive energy around them to others, mainly to their relatives, it could be. Or there are spirits that are out there to cause harm, to cause mischief, a bit like humans, you could say. So we need to make sure that our door is closed to those spirits.
And be clear with them, like what we are like really calling, right?
Absolutely. And many years ago, somebody came to me and asked me for a depossession. And it was.
And what does it mean?
A depossession is that when a person feels that they have a spirit attached to them and they can't get rid of it.
Yes.
So this is like a spirit, could be a human being or non-human. So this person had human beings who had been basically who had died, which were attached to her body, and they were speaking to her all the time, and they were calling her names. They were very destructive, very disrespectful spirits, and really making her ill. So when she came to me, already it was like over 2-3 years that this was going on, and these spirits were very attached. They're not going anywhere, and they were coming through her body and even lifting her hand and slapping her and hitting her. I mean, it's things that you see, in movies. It was like that. So, when most people are not anywhere near something like that, but this was the case. So, and I was in the beginning of my work. I was just like, this is not the textbook case that you ask your guides to remove these spirits and all works very fine and it's just like done so easily. This was not the textbook case. So I had to dig deep. And what I found out was that this person was like, had been wanted to do spiritual work, but she had no training. So what she did was every day she called in, she said, I want spirits to come. So she opened the door without knowing anything about spiritual protection, about how to make sure that you have a network of helping spirits that will, a doorkeeper, we call, this a doorkeeper, who will basically be there and make sure whoever comes in is of the light. And also her intention was quite selfish, that she had this, like, it was like, not almost, it was, the ego was very important. It's like, I want to be recognized. I want to have the spirit because it makes me feel special. Then I can be a medium. Then I can go onto platform and give messages to others. But there was some ego there too, which was also, you could say, difficult. So when I was doing this depossession, I was just like, oh my goodness, I said, you really have to stop everything, because when somebody is possessed, one of the remedies is like, your door has been so open, you need time away from spirit so you can build your door solid, you can build your wall. Your body is your door. You have to really build your energy again, because sometimes these spirits can draw your energy and you can start feeling ill, which was what was happening. But this person was saying, no, I don't want to do that. I want to work with spirit. But I said, you can't work like that. You have to have protection. You have to first be well yourself. Because if you open the door, if you're an open door like that, then you can attract the wrong kind of spirit. Then it's better not to do anything, actually. It's hard to say that because I work with spirits and it's part of my life. But if it's not safe for you, safety comes first. It's better if you do not work with
And
them.
it's also important to honor the tradition in a way, because there is certain way, there is different type of tradition and learning and teaching, and sometimes we invocate as well our own tradition because we are given things as well. But also it's important to really reconnect, like be in contact with our heart, right? Because I feel like this is also because we know when we are crossing the line. I think inside we do know when it's coming from the ego. And you know, FOTOULA, what I love it, before the session I came to you, you give me a beautiful instruction how to prepare myself, and there was also offering for ancestors. And after I remember, because when I was holding the session, can I share that with others? You with open heart say yes, it need to be shared, of course. So I'm really grateful for your openness, and I know how much you're giving. It's like, and how much love is there, and how much like your inner child is expanding. Even, you know, when I saw you today, it's like very alive. Um, and again, like this offering feels also part of shamanic way. How we can, because there is sacrifice as well, right? Because sometimes I was questioning, like sometimes I struggle with sacrifice, and you know, do I need to really sacrifice? I'm done with sacrifice. Why we need to sacrifice? And also all of that things, but it feels like, do we always need to sacrifice something in this in a way of growing, in a way of, because there is also what is the word is when we receive the initiation, right? It's also like through sacrifice, very often through actually giving away part of us that need to die or need to like transform in a way.
Yeah, you know, when I look back, I think I see this not so much as a sacrifice, but like I went through different deaths in one lifetime. So you could say, you know, when I left Greece and I wasn't going back, you could say, a sacrifice or a death of the old life. But I never thought it as a sacrifice, but yes, I suppose, you know, if you look at it from the outside, you could say yes, you did sacrifice that, or you know, when I left you know, my married life, that was a sacrifice in some way, but it was also a death of that life, and a new life opening up. But that was just for everything. Took me to where I am now. If I look back, I think, you know, there are a lot of deaths if you walk a spiritual path, because you are growing. So you are growing, and what you had created before, you have outlived in some way. So a new life must open up, and that means that the old life kind of dies. There is that sacrifice there.
Maybe different understanding, right?
Yeah,
because it's good to like because the words have huge power. And I love it that you focus on also on positive aspect as well, because sometimes we focus on negative, and this also can suck energy. But what does it mean, the death, and you know, this reborn? And because there is a fear sometimes to like she really like allow spirit to take it away, right? We still like say, okay, you take it, we're calling the new, but we still holding to something subconsciously very often, and this also can cause some that energy is not really flowing, right?
Yeah. I think that is so true. You know, when I had to give up my home, it was quite a hard thing, of course, because that's like your safety, your security. Or when I gave up my job, that it was like I was getting my salary every month. You know, that was, and it was a good job and I liked. It wasn't just that I couldn't do this job anymore because there was wrong things with the job. I was doing something that I didn't like. I really liked my job, but it wasn't who I was anymore. I was like, you know, what was filling my heart was the shamanic work. So I just like, I had to make a choice I couldn't do both anymore. For 6 years, I was working, and in the evenings and weekends, I was having my practice, and I don't know how I did it, how I got the energy to do it, but I did it. I worked so hard, and then it came to a point where the Spirit said to me, you have to give up your job. And it was really the fear, as you say, the fear came. My family was saying to me, don't give up your job, for their reasons, as I said. It was just like, people were saying, you have a good job, you're a senior town planner in the council, you have a job for life, you have a good pension, all these things. And these stay in your mind. And then even some of my shamanic colleagues and some shamanic teachers told me, don't do it. Said, don't do it. And they were, people who had done it themselves, who were like, and they said, we advise you really not to do it. and so I was in this difficulty, and I wanted to do it, and the fear was there. So life came, and at the time, in my job, there was a huge deficit in the finances of the city council. And what happened was they were offering us 6 months sabbatical with no pay. So you could take 6 months off from your work, so without being paid, and then check, and your job was there after 6 months if you wanted to go back. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. After 3 months, I knew I was not going back. I was not going back.
So the Spirit give you that also opened the door.
Open the door, yes. The Spirit opened the door. So I took I took the sabbatical, and that was life just came, and I started working. I became so busy. I was running all these retreats, and it was amazing. I was working with people one-to-one, and then I gave up my job. And the Spirit said, right, okay, that's great. You gave up your job, and everything stopped. This was, this is the truth. Nobody was signing up for the workshops that I have been running for 6 years while I was working, and people were not coming. And I said to the Spirits, what's happening now? I gave up my job now, and nothing. What can I do? And they said, it's because you have to learn. You have to travel. You have to go. I said, but how will I do it? He said, well, you've sold your house. Use that money. Travel, go. Everything will be fine. Just do it. And I did trust. And I went into some amazing places and worked with some incredible shamans, so I could do the work. And in 2015, after my last vision quest, they said, now you're ready. You go back and you work. And all the traveling stopped. There was just, and I worked, and that's how it happened. But it's, you could say there was a sacrifice.
Or surrendering, like, do you feel like you need to surrender, you was called to surrender, part of you?
Yeah, I think that there was no other option but to surrender. You trust, you surrender, you keep walking, and many times life does bring you to that edge, that that edge of fear, or what will I do? But you just dig deep. You dig deep. You find your roots. You find your center. You connect. You connect with the earth. You connect with the spirits. You connect with your heart and say, no, I'm just going to keep walking. And it is frightening. Yeah.
Just keep walking, because also like we've been trained, especially in Western way, that it's also coming everywhere. I feel like it's poisoning. Like we need to achieve this. Like I need to be successful. I need to be visible, and all of that. And I feel like the shamanic way is actually it's beyond that, right? Beyond even holding to anything, because it's so etheric, like to what you can hold, right? It's like yes, you can hold to your heart, but material things, of course, they are so important, and they give us feeling of stability, and they ground us as well in a way. There is nothing wrong to have things of her house, because we need that, right?
Of course.
And for different period of the time. But I saw like the spirit itself is very free. It's like it's especially when some of us are born as a free spirit and they have that hunger, and we go beyond our even imagination and beyond our limits, and and this is huge challenge as well, to be that free spirit that is like a new story, rebuilding a new story, a new old things need to go die all the time. It feels like, okay, when it's gonna stop, when it's gonna be some rest, because it feels so intense, right? To be in that journey.
It is an intense journey, but you know, life is full of change, and we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So we live in the present. We bring ourselves in the now, in the here and the now. And I sometimes, when I really need to feel, you know, that I imagine myself as this tree. The tree cannot go anywhere. So it's part of the cycle of life, and we are part of the cycle of life. And I imagine my roots going deep into the ground, and the energy of the earth just flowing into my body, and my branches expanding, touching the infinite and the sky, and all the beautiful stars that is out there, and the infinite, all this cosmos coming into my body too, and coming in that space of alignment. That's something we can always do, and they say, I am here, I am here.
It's very Buddhist as well, very like and that connection with the tree, and this, I think, is a beautiful way to actually grounding ourselves and coming back to our body, that we often escape from our body. And I feel like the more we embodied, it's just only my experience, FOTOULA, but very often I was escaping from my body, and more I feel like I want to be more in the body.
And one of the ways to see if you are in your body is take your awareness into your bones, and bring all that energy into your skeleton, you know, down deep into your ribs, into your pelvic bone, into your bones of your legs. Bring your awareness into your bones, deep and deep into yourself, and you will feel different. You will feel that I am in my body. Because a lot of people, as you said, are not in the body. And I know, because I was not in my body when I was in all of this, you know, world out there. But I practice, this is what I practice. I'm here now. And you mentioned Buddhism, which is beautiful, so beautiful. I had a Buddhist teacher, Bonpo Buddhism, which was the Yunrung Bon is the most ancient part of Buddhism, and is quite shamanic as well. So, and it was again a hard teacher, Rinpoche. He meant so well, and he taught me so much, and a lot of things about ceremony as well, because their ceremonies are very complex, but they are amazing. And when I first went to one of the retreats, that it was 5.5 days of singing mantras from 4 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, and doing ceremonies, etc. This was one, you could say, where the spirits gave me a push, because I was like, am I going? I'm not going. I was not so dedicated at the time, because early on, and I was a little bit, maybe, or I'll go and see what it's like. And just the night before I went the next day, I got a letter from my doctor. I had done some tests, and they said they found cancerous cells in my body, and I was invited for a biopsy. And inside the leaflet, inside the letter was a leaflet that said how to live with cancer. Can you imagine the fear? Can you imagine just getting this going? And then I go to the retreat, and I do everything there with my mala, with everything, with the prayers, the drum, all the ceremonies. I slept on the floor of the temple. There was like on the hard floor of the temple, no mattress, just sleep there too, because the spirit said, if you want to get well, you have to sleep in the temple.
And there is the work that need to be done, and there's the dedication that we often want easy way, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you know, and there's like, and maybe that's also like surrendering as well.
So that was a huge surrendering. And every time I was thinking, oh, I'm tired, the Spirit said, do you want to have cancer? You do this. And then I came back and I had a biopsy and they couldn't find anything.
Wow.
And they invite me again to another one, nothing. And then they say in 3 months we repeat again, and then in 6 months we repeat again. And I think after a while, I think, why am I doing these biopsies? There's nothing wrong with me. It was all like a, you could say the trickster from the Spirit saying, we will make sure you go and do the work. And sometimes, you know, that was the motivation. You do, what do you do? So this has been, as you say, a sacrifice. But yeah, there are many experiences in my life, and whatever our life has been, is to focus and see in hindsight. Maybe we cannot see it at the time. What has been the gift, even of the difficult situations. And there is always a gift that is much greater of the difficulty, and we cannot maybe see it when we go through it, but in hindsight, if we look back, we can say, yeah, I bless you for going through this to ourselves, because it is a tough journey. Life is bittersweet. There are sweet times, there are difficult times, and is to keep traveling in the river of life and not getting stuck. I think that's sometimes we get stuck in the whirlpool, and it pulls us down. Maybe that's part of the journey, but that's when we need to ask for help and say, you know, I need to go and see somebody. I need to go for a ceremony. I need to go and do some work so that I find a way out of the darkness.
And FOTOULA, there is something very important that I would like to ask you, because it's the difference between shamanic practitioner and shaman, because very often like many people like I see the difference. I spoke with many people and they feel like, can we step in after shamanic practitioner training and become a shaman, or what does it mean this? Because very often it's coming from and honoring the tradition, old way, that it's coming from ancient time, right? It's like now everyone is a shaman, so like how we can understand more, how to respect more that tradition. There's different ways of tradition, and to keep it alive and aligned with our heart.
This is a very good question. So for me, the indigenous people who have gone through their apprenticeship, that they start young usually, but it can happen later in life as well, but they go through a lot of initiations, and it's almost like a life of practice. One of my teachers, his father was working up until 104 years of age, from a young child to 104, working every day for his community, people going there, seeing him as a shaman, then taking his bicycle and going to other villages where people could not travel and doing the ceremonies there, and also spending almost a life in shamanic practice, in shamanic work, and living and breathing the tradition. And these people have gone through so much training. We have to realize that when it's almost like they're stepping onto the path. It's a life of learning, and for some of us in the West, it can be like that as well. It can be like that, but for us who in the West, we have not had that lineage and that opportunity to train in that way. That we were not born into this and then starting to train for all going through all these difficult initiations. Life, of course, give us these initiations. They were don't, you know, it's not that we don't get them, we do, but we you know, people, you know, after a year training, 2 years training, or 3 years training, calling themselves a shaman, when they just go maybe for the workshop once a month, or once every 2 months, is not an everyday apprenticeship. It's not the same. We have to say it's not the same. But so I would say the shamanic in the West is better to call ourselves shamanic practitioners.
Because there's also modern shamans. It's like it's become a bit complex. It's
Yeah.
Yes.
But out of respect, I would say out of respect for to the indigenous people, I would say we call ourselves shamanic practitioners, and say these are the shamans because they have been training since the age of 5, as has been the case in my family, and they have been going through all these initiations and practices for many years, and then after so many years, then they say you can now do it. But for us, I will say, as Western people, it's easier to say I am a shamanic practitioner, because also the shaman, you know, what I have seen in from the many traditions that I have worked with from the East and the West, is like people do not, even if they do the work, it's like the community will say they are the shaman. So there is like the community who says this is a good person. This is in Greece we say an old man or a granny, but it's not our granny or it's not our grandfather, but it's like we use the same term for a shaman or a medicine person. We'll say somebody went to an old man, Yeroda. Went to a Yeroda to get healing, to receive healing the old way of healing. So we'll use that. That person might not be that old, but it's just like a way of saying they went to a grandfather, they went to a medicine person. But he does not advertise and puts out, you know, I'm a medicine person, I'm an old person, you know, come to me for healing, because this was a different setting. It's a different setting, and the community will always bring a gift. So there is this exchange of energy. So this person will not say, you know, my session costs, you know, £100 or whatever. It's like the community knows, I will honor this person's work, I will honor this person's learning, the fact they will help me, and I will bring, you know, either food or what I have, you know, what is right. They know what is right to offer, and is plentiful and is respectful, and is not just like giving them like a few coins to say thanks very much, you know, there's your donation, which happens in the West. I've seen people, you know, in one case we had the Tibetan Lama. He was working so hard to help people, and somebody came and said, I hear in your tradition you just give a donation. And he said, yes, you can give a donation. And the Lama had worked, you know, really hard for a whole hour, and the person just gave them £5, or it will just give you a fruit or a stone, and then what will he do with that? So there is that understanding in the indigenous communities that we take care of this medicine person because he takes care or she takes care of us and our community, and we want them to be well, and we care for them. So it's the community who identifies, who knows who they are, the local community, and who will go to them in need. So the person does not advertise, I'm a shaman. The community says, we see you and we know that you are. And in one of the traditions, you know, again, another teacher of mine, when he was called by the spirits, they had to bring the whole community, feed everybody, you know, made food, you know, lots of celebration. And then he was asked to prove to the community that the spirit was coming through him. So the community has to say, yes, I felt your drum. Yes, it's beyond doubt that I heard the voice from spirit. And it was like beyond doubt. It's like so clear. And the community says, yes, we have seen this and recognize this. But here in the West, we don't have communities anymore like that. What is our community? What is our tribe? You know, there is that sense that yes, somewhere there's people with like-minded perceptions and love for shamanism, but it's not the same way as all of us living in a village, living together, having the same kind of language, the same experiences. We're all coming from different walks of life to form a different community, but it's not here yet. So our community is saying, well, I need to find you, but how can I find you if you don't advertise, if you don't have a website? This is the Western way, you know, but I would say then, unless the community call you and say, this person is a shaman because I went to them, and yes, I received true healing, yes, it was good, yes, I got help, yes, I saw the spirit with them, I would say, don't put it on yourself. Don't call that yourself. I don't call that myself. Because I just also feel in some ways this is a gift from the spirits, and I'm very aware of that, and this gift is given unconditionally from the heart, as long as my heart is open and I'm dedicated and committed and do the work properly, and the spirits can also take this away. So we need to remember that. We need to remember that. And I have seen now people that they have lost it because they went so much into the ego, and what they're bringing is something very ugly.
Yes, indeed, FOTOULA, I see this as well, and it's, you know, it's also in a way that we might experience in our practices, and it's okay to acknowledge as well if we're doing something. It's not that not from the heart, but there is a desire of achieving something that is not aligned with the heart. And this is a big teaching as well. And I know we are running out of time. Maybe the last things that I would like to ask you, it's like, what does it mean for you to be a medicine woman, and what is your medicine for this time, and how do you cherish life and bring joy to life?
Oh, yeah. So to be honest, my medicine, if I could say, is to be a pure channel for the spirits to bring their medicine. That's so, because as FOTOULA, I say every time I know nothing. Whatever I know or I think I know, when I start to journey, I learn from the spirits, and they know so much more than I do, because they are in the spirit form, I am in the human form, and this human body is conditioned. I am working, you know, to be as much as possible into my heart, but I am a human being. So sometimes, for example, I will have a client and they will come and say a story, and of course you might have seen that before, or your experience could say, oh, I see what the problem is, or the person says, you know, this is the problem, this is what I think, and you feel that's the case because maybe you've seen it before, you have experience after many years. But you do the journey and the spirits say, you both think this is the problem, but this is not the problem, this is the cause. And when you share that, it makes so much sense, and the person starts to sometimes go into tears, and they don't know why they're crying, and they're saying, I don't know why I'm crying, but there must be, what you say is touching me so deeply, because even I can't understand it, I know it's true, because emotions don't lie. You know, that's the language of the soul is the language of emotion. It's not the language of the conditioned mind. So what is my medicine is, as much as I can, is to bring in the medicine from the spirits. And when I teach is the same. So every time I say to the spirits, please help me, let me be your mouthpiece. I've done, of course, training, teacher training, shamanic teacher training, all this work. Been teaching for many years now, but every time I say, please let me, because they know what everybody needs in the class. What is that person's need? What is going to happen? What story to come through? I have my plan. I always prepare journey, and they give me the plan. This is what to do for this day. But also during the day, they will things that will evolve and open up. There is something bigger at work. And what my medicine is, I suppose, is to just keep listening to that bigger, to that spirit, and just allow it to come through, so that it touches all our hearts. It touches everyone, and that's the healing. It's just like to allow ourselves to be touched and heal from all the pain that we have been carrying, not just from this life, but from other lives, not just from ourselves, but from our ancestors, not just from our ancestors, but the whole of the human race, because we are all connected.
This is very humble way.
but
That's so beautiful. Because it feels like sometimes we are very big, but actually we are very small, right?
Yeah. And this is actually good also, because I have no idea what each person's needs. How can we know what you need? Even though we may have the experience, I want to do the best I can for each person who will come to a workshop or who will come to a healing. But how can I know you will come and share with me the 15, 30 minutes your story, or we will be together in a circle, but there is something bigger there at work, and that bigger knows, and that bigger can speak to us in a way that it will touch us to unlock what has been kept hidden, what has been kept stuck, to unlock that and open it up. So and they will open our hearts, because it's coming through so much love. The spirits are coming through so much love. And I see sometimes people coming and saying that they had experiences, and I feel really sorry if this has happened to you, because it should not happen to you. That go to a person, go to a practitioner, go to a teacher, and the teacher puts them down, or they say something that the reason you are having this is because you have done this, you're a bad person, or whatever they've said. That they find sometimes the vulnerable position, because they cannot answer the question, so they give that to their student in a really hurtful way, and that's not, and then they say, oh, that well, I did say that, but the spirits told me to say it. The spirits told me to tell you off in that way. The spirits told me to give you that wrong advice or whatever. And I think the enlightened spirits, in my experience, and it's only my experience, but the enlightened spirits come with so much love, respect for us, the human beings. Because the enlightened spirits say, you are actually the heroes of life, every one of us. This is not an easy place. They say that the earth is a very advanced school. It's not for the beginners, because we're not in kindergarten here. It's life is not easy on earth, and it's advanced souls who wish to evolve and who wish to really evolve spiritually, not materially, but spiritually, that come here in this world. And that's why sometimes it can feel like this is hard. I have to overcome so much, and overcome my conditioning, the conditioning of the planet, to get into the essence of who I am and bring that forward in the world. So sometimes when I hear people say that the spirits told them to say something that was hurtful, etc., I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the spirits, maybe it was the ego, but in my experience, the enlightened spirits have so much respect. And if they have to say something that is trying to say, look, there is a better way, they are saying it. they're passing the message with a lot of respect. They're not passing it in a way that is like, damaging. Is damaging to the person.
Thank you so much, FOTOULA, for sharing the words of wisdom and
Thank you.
hope and that sparking light that is so important, that help us to again welcome our heart. So thank you so much. I really appreciate, and I will share all information about FOTOULA and her amazing work and her retreats and her school and everything that she's doing and supporting us as well to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Isabella, because you are a sparkling light too. You are a sparkling light. And you have it. You absolutely have it in your heart. And you walk your shamanic path. And I know it is so, so challenging. And I know the people who will come to you will be truly blessed because you will hold them with so much love.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
very, see, I have tears in my eyes. Oh, because
bless
it's so beautiful. So we send you lots of love.
Lots of love.
Lots
Lots
of
of love.
light.
Yeah.
Aho.
Bye bye. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.